Hello, hello. I'm back. I'm playing Outer Worlds, continuing from last night. I played a few minutes last night on my own. Anyway. Facebook open. Last night I played a few. Did that. Okay. So yeah, here we go. Resume. Okay, so now I need to shut down power to... I need to choose, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down to not Edgewater, but I'm going to be the bad guy. I mean, I'm not. We'll see why. So I'm going to convince them to... ooh, what's this? So the way we get in... Oh, this is already broken. Oh, perfect. Oh, and they have stuff, too. That's cool. So... I wasn't in here before. Maybe I could use this. Yeah, I can. There you go. View recent logs. Exit. Okay. More goodies. Anything in here? Anything on our sticky notes? Money. Increases critical damage. Ooh, a bunch of cool stuff in there. Okay. So we'll go in and we're going to redirect power to Edgewater. Okay. This game is fun. I've had more fun playing this game last night than a lot of other games recently. Okay. I've already looted all of these because I was in here before. How do I get into the security checkpoint, though? Is there a way? I don't know. I have a hair in my mouth. Anyway. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing or where I'm going. I'm just kind of like exploring. And I could follow the prompts. Yeah, I don't think I was in here. Was I in here? Messages from Spacer's Choice. Displeasure towards your management of Emerald Vale for reasons related to exceeding your staff budget. 5 subordinates. Oh, Jesus. Additionally, please contact our office to schedule your official reprimand at your earliest convenience. Failure to schedule your reprimand will result in an official reprimand. Spacer's Choice family would need to collectively remind you that working for Spacer's Choice is not a right, but a privilege. The esteemed members of the Development and Oversight Committee, hope this letter finds you wealthy. After due consideration of your last letter, I have identified and terminated no fewer than 5 subordinates who are unable to provide sufficient justification for their ongoing employment. I'd like to remind the Oversight Committee that while most of Emerald Vale has failed to meet its production and output quotas, particularly our agriculture and fishing canning departments, neither of which are anywhere close to profitable, the Emerald Vale geothermal plant remains committed to providing cheap, cost-efficient power to the entire region. Regards, Gino Braden, manager. Investigated claims made against the profitability of Greater Emerald Vale region decline while the geothermal plant remains somewhat profitable. Our offices are currently investigating ways to implement additional cost-saving measures, which will ultimately lead to a leaner, more streamlined, blah blah blah. Please be informed that the Spacer's Choice Development and Oversight Office has taken a significant insurance policy against the Emeraldville geothermal plant. The office would like to assure you that this policy is a standard procedure. Do not attempt to interpret, understand, or otherwise extrapolate meaning from this decision. As special courtesy, we have deployed a proprietary team of engineering specialists to the geothermal plant. This team has been instructed to refit and upgrade plant's population of auto mechanicals free of charge. Okay, so that's what... So they did it. It was, this, like, nonsense bloodfest in here was directly, like, they did this on purpose. And killed everybody in the plant. Yeah, this company sucks. Oh, combat drone.
Here we go! Woo! We made it!
Alright. Looks like this is our destination. We got more stuff. Redirect power. Structural damage. Activate 3 electricals track switches. Plant status. Alright, so we gotta fix the plant. And I'm sure my green waypoint markers will tell me where to go.
That'll be easy enough.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I cleared out most of the plant already. I mean, it's just a little thing. Save your woohoos, madam. I already accessed all of this. Okay. Yeah, and I took care of these guys before.
There's 2 more. What'll happen to Miss McDevitt's folk if we send power to the Vale?
We'll convince them to go back to Edgewater. And then access repair log. Forward just send a team of technicians to conduct a complete refit of our mechanicals, every sentry drone. I'd like to formally express how grateful I am leading brand and affordable sundry across Halcyon. Not the best choice, it's strange modifications to logic modules, haven't had time to run a diagnostic. All I know is that these were introduced in our recent refit. The company went through the trouble of refitting every single mechanical in the plant not long ago. Guessing this was the work of those visiting technicians. I filed a report, but my supervisor told me not to worry about it, so the company knew what it was doing. Ordered me to forget about any alleged modifications to the logic modules. Decided to do a bit of sleuthing by my own self. Got my hands on a logic module. Time to do a little experimentation. Oh, he's not awake or reacting to me, so I'll take that as a... Copy EM Spacer's Guide to Mechanical Engineering, is Volume 3. I need something to read down a bit. Much obliged. Your thoughts?
Something you need?
No. What's that? She has no thoughts. loot all these guys. Let's save it over here. Just getting nervous.
Get away!
Oh no, Higgins! I don't know who you are, but I'll save you. If you're not a dick. I mean, I'll probably save you if you're a dick, too. I'm kind of hoping you're not a dick. This
Get
is...
away! Get away!
Higgins, my man.
You're not real! You're not real! Get away from me, Phantom! Shoot! Scram!
Wasn't trying to startle you.
Most people? But I'm the only one left. No. Remember your first rule, Higgins. No arguing with the Phantoms. See? See, Higgins? This is why you must always boil your sprats before ingesting. Of course. Do excuse me. I experience brief flashes of mania during which I am visited by the phantoms of my imagination.
It's a good
Chester
album
D. Higgins. The D stands for definitely not insane. I use it as a reminder.
I can tell. What is it you do here?
Oh, Higgins has been many things over the years. Sprat Wrangler, Saltuna Critic, Aetherwave Personality, Chairman of the Board, Galactic Defender, Sisty Pig Tycoon. I've come a long way for someone who started off as a simple engineer right here in this plant. Jimmy'd opened the vending machines. That lasted a good couple of months. Eventually, I had to resort to more unconventional means of filling my insides. Mechanicals lost their bolts, opened fire on anything that moved. It was pandemonium. You mean, why did the mechanicals go on a murderous rampage? Same reason any of us do, I suppose. The voices told them to do it.
Oh yeah, that makes
I was
sense.
on cleaning duty at the time. My old boss had me scrubbing pipes when the killing started. So, as usual, I missed out. I specialized in automechanicals, drones, sentries, repaired them, maintained, upgraded, did it all from my old workroom just over in the next section. Look, I don't want to fall into any trouble with the mechanicals. If they wise up to our plans, they will come for us. With prodding irons.
I can deal with mechanicals. I made it this far, didn't I?
You know, you remind me of myself back when I was an intergalactic adventurer. I discovered a flaw. Their hostility levels were hardwired to maximum. There's no changing that, but you could rewrite their targeting protocol so they attack each other instead.
Engineering, mechanicals, probably someone's different.
Yes, that's exactly it. I see you're also versed in the noble art of mechanical engineering. There's a behavior control terminal in the other room. It should have options to change how the mechanicals act, including whom they shoot at. Oh, that reminds me. You'll need my passcode to access the behavior control terminal. Here, let me just write it down for you. The tail. Definitely start with the tail. If you're feeling adventurous, the ears are a particular delicacy. Mechanicals lost... I was on cleaning...
Okay. Good stuff.
Mind the steam. You're liable to get scalded.
I see that.
Wow, not even a scratch. I'm ready for this. When to go? If we send the power to Miss McDevitt, what happens to the veil?
Nice workbench. Okay.
Processing. Searching.
Okay, here we go!
They didn't really reprogram them, though.
Last. I'm not sure what the ride is. Alls I know is the decision's final. Once we do this, there's no going... Excuse me, ma'am. Look, I know you want your power regulator and all, but I just gotta ask you. Do you understand what you're about to do? I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would be cruel. I'm sorry. That just sort of came out all at once. Edgewater's hurting. We've been losing workers year after year, and corporate hardly ever sends replacements. There's barely enough Saltuna to fill our bellies anymore. But the town's got some good people in it. Decent, hard-working folk just living their lives the only way they know how. They don't deserve to be punished.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't gonna...
That sure sounds like Mr. Thompson. If he was standing here, I imagine he'd remind us of how we're all one big hap. In Mr. Thompson's eyes, those deserters are still part of the Spacer's Choice. I hate to say it, but I think Mr. Thompson... Sorry, I didn't... Really?
Alright. Okay, so now we need to go to map. Let's go to the botanical gardens. And we'll convince them all to come back. Yep, no power.
Oh, that's Thomas. He used to follow me around before he left the cannery.
Everybody keeps staring. Whoa.
Are you, are things safe out here? How you
Ooh.
keeping?
Great, just great. I've been trying to keep stuff running, just like you. Only I'm not so... Wait, they didn't kick you out, did they?
Oh gosh, no. I'm just along with this lady here.
I seen you wandering around here. You don't look like you're coming from town. Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you were from town or if you were one of us. Something's been chewing at me, you see. Fact is, I've been, well, lying. To everybody here. Camp thinks I'm a mechanical genius, but I couldn't fix a busted chair.
Never too late to start learning. I can give you a couple pointers.
I'll take all the help I can get. I set my mind to learning the craft of the engineer, you see. I want to make something of myself. You ever heard of the Young Spacer's Guide to Mechanical Engineering? Comes in a set of 3. If I had my hands on one of those data pads, I could teach myself the ins and outs.
Those are good. My dad kept a copy with him when he was working in the cannery.
I know the old community center kept a copy. Should find another one back in town. If you could find me even one of those pads, I'd be greatly obliged.
There do.
No kidding! Really? Well, which one? Look at that! Building a computing machine out of Spectrum potatoes, a primer. I'm just glad it survived all these years. I appreciate you going through all that trouble. In fact, I put aside something special, on the off chance that somebody'd search out those data pads for me. Well, don't keep me in suspense. The geothermal plant? Now that is just incredible! You really went exploring down there? Adelaide always told us it was swarming with hostile mechanicals. 2 whole data pads? Be still my beating heart. Oh, almost forgot your payment. Sure.
I don't know what you did to...
Alright, so now they're going to be pissed off at me when I tell their leader that
Home is where the heart is. Marauders took that saying a little too
cut off their
literally.
power. Yeah,
That's the thing about growing old. Your eyes start to fail. Elsewise, I would have seen you for the snake that you are, chopped you into pieces and roasted you on a spit. This is all you're doing. Cutting off my power, killing off my garden. Without refrigeration, my food will spoil, and my flock will starve. I want to ask you this in private, away from the eyes of my flock, so they do not see me lose my temper. Tell me, why did you do it? You want my flock wasting their lives in that cannery? Fine. Go and talk to them. Go talk to Grace and Thomas. Look them in the eye and tell them their life here is over, and the only thing left to do is go back to Edgewater. This is now your responsibility. And you tell Reed Thompson that I will never return to Edgewater. I would rather die among my flowers than live under his management.
What if you could be the...
My son worked in that cannery. When the plague started coming, he was one of the first to fall sick. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. Said my boy didn't deserve treatment. Said the medicine would have been wasted on him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as much of the story as you need to hear. As long as Reed is still in... You offering to cross Reed off, huh? This some sort of twisted reparation for what you've done? Or you just looking for a chance to sow some chaos? Kill Reed if you must, or talk him into leaving if you can. He and I are not sharing the same four walls together.
Let's make that happen.
Tell Reed that I can make his people healthy again. I can end their plague. Start a new garden right in the cannery. 3 square meals for every man and woman in Edgewater. Tell him how I've made the Vale bloom again. The soil has whispered its secrets to me, and I alone know how to breathe life back into the earth. The secret is human corpses. I've been grinding them up in my fertilizer for years. Marauder, worker, don't matter much to me. The human body is rich with nutrients.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be shocked by that, but I'm not, and I don't really care. I mean, yeah, you know, you guys are like colonists, so sure, do what you gotta do.
I have got a means to cure the plague, and I will not share that cure until Reed leaves town. Those are my terms.
Okay. I mean, not very democratic on your part, but I like you more than I like Reed.
It's okay. Any luck finding one of those manuals? I've been thinking about going back. I'm not much use to anybody here. I get sick thinking about working at the cannery. I can't do that again.
Just don't work at the cannery. You wanted to be an engineer.
You know something? I think you're right. The town could use another engineer, and I'm on my way to becoming one. I could do a lot of good in Edgewater. Maybe even keep a garage of my own with a little workbench and my very own toolbox. It's just... Adeline's never gonna forgive me. Not in 100 years. I go crawling back to my old life in Edgewater, and I'm as good as dead to her.
Stay put. I'm going to try and talk Reed into stepping down.
You know where to find me.
Marauders can't... The matter's been... Zoe came back, but I couldn't keep her from slipping out in the first place. I don't see a slap... Listen, we go back to Reed, hat in hand. Sure.
Okay. Oh wait, I didn't need to do that one. I meant to go to the, it's fine. So yeah, we're gonna get Reed to step down if we can. Stop taking your gun out. No.
This is I trust Adelaide's people have seen their way to reason. So, when can I expect them back at their posts? Then we are at an impasse. Stewardship over this town has been entrusted to me by Spacer's choice. I am not perfect. I have made my share of mistakes, but I have done my best for this town.
Change of leadership might be what this town needs.
I am a Spacer's choice man. My father was a Spacer's choice man. Edgewater may not look like much to some buttoned-up freelancer, but it is my home. I don't believe you. Plague's a reality of life. Best treatment is a good work ethic.
How do you people eat food?
The very notion is just grotesque. A raw vegetable? Why don't you just ask me to go chew the bark off of a tree? We are a Spacer's Choice Saltuna cannery. We eat saltuna here, and only saltuna.
There's your food that's making you sick. You need Adelaide's garden.
I don't understand. You say Adelaide's growing her own food, but that should not be
You
possible.
can't grow saltuna on
The
trees.
soil's gone sour. Company said as much. Our own botanists couldn't grow decent crops for us, so the company got rid of them and shut down the greenhouse.
She's got a way to grow food. She'll come back if you step
You'll
out.
excuse me for being skeptical. How exactly is Adelaide growing crops in barren soil?
Look, Reed, all I know is it involves some really complicated math and it works.
If Adelaide's found a way to feed her people and cure the plague, then she deserves this office more than I do. I won't stand in her way. My life here is ended. Give me a little time to settle my affairs. I'm sure Adelaide will be glad to see the back of me.
I mean, what are your plans?
A couple months ago, I might have put in for a transfer. It's a big colony. Spacer's Choice has other towns. Now, I couldn't show my face in any of them.
Why not?
No such thing as an honorable resignation. Suppose I could find a place outside the walls, or put in for early retirement.
Yeah. You don't last a day outside the walls, you know.
I don't know. I could see myself lasting a week.
Can't be easy for you.
I have always tried to do right by my town. It has never been easy.
Alright, take her. I don't care. I mean, kind of sad. He's not all bad. I mean... I heard otherwise. Thomas seemed very fond of you.
He's just interested in fixing stuff. He always used to follow me around, asking me to explain what I was doing. Like a puppy, kinda.
That boy is head over heels for you.
I'm just glad he's alive. That he's okay. I mean, when Mr. Thompson said he was fired, we all expected the worst. If he wants to learn about engineering, we should help him get those data pads he wants. I'd like to do that for him.
Let's get back to it. Alright, let's get that data pad. Looks like it might be in this one. Symptoms, domiciles, is reality of life. Okay, so let's go and perfect. Perfect. Thomas!
Any luck finding one of those manuals? No kidding! Really? Well, which one?
Well, I've given you the 1 and 3, so which one?
Ain't that just ironical? If I'd worked a little longer back at the cannery, I might have found this myself. That's a complete set! All 3 parts! I'm gonna be the greatest engineer Halcyon's ever seen! Aside from you, Ms. Parvati, I swear, I'll do you proud.
I'm glad we could help, Thomas.
I've been saving something for you. Just a little contraption I found. Should fit right into your outfit.
Look at that. The snake's come back. I never thought I'd see the day that Reed Thompson abandoned his post. Suppose we all have a breaking point. Suppose it's time our flock made our way back to Edgewater. We must tend to what remains of the town and carry on with our lives as best we may. You're vexing to me, you know? Injuring us with one hand, helping us with the other. Here, I'm giving you something to leave us be. It's a ransom, you understand, not a reward. You're telling me you did all this just to put me in charge of Edgewater? Stranger, you are some kind of twisted. I might turn that old cannery into a garden. Got ourselves a whole cemetery bursting with bodies. I need some time to gather my personals. Long walk back to Edgewater. Got a considerable burden to carry.
Okay, so what do I want to increase? I'll increase my dialogue. All right.
I know.
Oh, I got my power regulator.
Sorry, I'm just trying to Adelaide said that? Well, something must have changed.
All right, go to Edgewater. Bye.
Never liked Reed much.
Zoe says she fought her way out of a marauder camp with her own bare hands. Nothing.
Keep your wits about you, friend.
Let's break down some weapons and stuff. Or modify them.
great.
Oh, what does my journal say? Go back to the ship.
Is this your ship?
We
Oh
were
my
here before.
stars, she is just so handsome! Does she have a name yet? What's her drive model? Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. I'm the only decent mechanic Edgewater's got, but every time I think of going back, I get this sinking feeling.
I can understand not wanting to go back. You didn't seem happy.
Well, it's kind of you to say that. And you're right. I wasn't happy. I want to ask you something, and you can say no. But can I come with you? I could tend to your engine. I know my G-valves from my catalyzers, and I can keep your ship singing. And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think?
Be glad to have you along. Here you go.
Yes!
It's yours.
I mean, thanks. You won't regret this, ma'am. Captain. I can call you Captain now. Ha! I got a captain.
Well, I certainly am looking forward to flying on a ship named the Unreliable. I'll just head upstairs and claim a room. I could spend hours reflecting on the... So, tell... Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition. That's what my parents called it. I grew up in a pit of a town much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them.
Were they not religious?
On the contrary. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith, a faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it.
Weren't they proud when you became a vicar, at least?
They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige, but that was not me.
So what's this plan?
The simple version is this. The force which we call the Grand Architect created the universal equation that underlies and defines everything in the universe. Everything flows from the equation, or in layman's terms, the grand plan. Is the Grand Architect a consciousness? A natural force? Did it create the equation on purpose?
Okay.
The answers to these questions don't really matter. The equation, the plan, is all that matters. Contentment is found by accepting one's role in the plan.
I don't... I'm happy to indulge this, your search for meaning and religion and all of that. I just have some significant problems with this idea of there being a plan. I think assuming that there's a plan, is problematic because it's assigning agency where I don't think we have the necessary information to do that. But okay. Can't help but follow the plan that everything you do is part of it. I mean, it's rationalism. This is a, you know, fancy video game form of rationalism. And I would never want to, like, convince a rationalist not to be a rationalist, right? Because I love rationalists, and I love logic and science and reason and all that. It was not, you know, not science, but reason. But he needs to read the Critique of Pure Reason, because that's essentially where he's running off, because he doesn't have a basis to assign something that's you know, transcendental like this. He can't. He's trying to step outside of consciousness to see into consciousness, and that's a problem. You can only really talk about things that are empirical, meaning you have at least the potentiality to have a direct experience of it, right? So things like the equation, the plan, all the stuff that he's talking, grand architect and stuff like that, those are fine as beliefs, but conferring upon them any kind of like objective reality that other people could experience is assuming a lot that doesn't necessarily have any kind of basis in the reality of sense perception, if that makes sense. So if it's fine if that is belief, right? That's you know, what he believes to be like the answer, and that provides solace and maybe like instruction as to what to do with one's life. Sure, but the but I don't think he can like use that to prescribe actions for other people, or anything of that sort. So I think that rationalism is important and has its place, but is superseded ultimately by empiricism, and that's kind of what this whole thing that he's talking about is missing. Besides the grand architect and the plan, what else do you believe in?
Scientism, as its name implies, believes that nature abhors equality. The strong survive, and the weak perish for the betterment of the whole. And reason,
so you're
not emotion,
introducing
is the seat of all
natural
morality.
Selection.
Wisdom means accepting the vicissitudes of life with grace and
like
dignity.
An empirical idea of natural selection into universals, with no like empirical basis for doing that. It's like a rationalism with some like early Christian stoicism, I guess. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Tell me again about the book we picked up.
Bocconu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony.
It's weird that they because it's flipped, right? So what he, from what I can tell from everything that he said so far, would be rationalist, not as compared to empiricists, right? Like empiricism comes from rationalism. They're not necessarily at odds, right? Like like Immanuel Kant was a rationalist, who then discovered empiricism with, you know, Locke and then Hume, and then applied that to rationalism, essentially. And then Locke and Hume were essentially replying to the rationalists that came before them, starting with Descartes. So you would normally associate rationalism with, he says, the philosophist school of thought, which is heretical, right? And you would associate, the rationalism with something that would call itself philosophist, and then his religion is called scientism. That would normally be associated with scientism would be associated with empiricism, right? Which is empirical science, meaning, you know, you form your universals, your ideas and generalities, right? Words come from, and your understanding of things comes from your environments, from your experience, right? So there's nothing in your head that you didn't previously experience first, even if it's like part objects that builds larger objects. Like, we've never experienced a hippogriff, but we have experienced all the individual parts of the hippogriff, so we can imagine it. And that would normally be associated with you know, Francis Bacon, logic of scientific discovery, scientific method, and all of that, because our knowledge of the world comes from experience. Whereas a rationalist thinks, you know, like if we analyze his idea of this grand architect and a plan and everything else, then like trying to figure out, using like the Large Hadron Collider, right, to smash atoms together and break them into quarks and antiquarks and all this crap, and discover bosons and fermions and all that, like, doesn't really mean anything, because if there's some sort of plan, you know, some conscious design or plan behind it, then that's what we need to study, not the actual physics of reality, the building blocks of reality, because the building blocks of reality would find their essence in this plan, which would explain everything. So we wouldn't have to go into the world and do scientific experiments, because that wouldn't be necessarily fruitful, you know, in trying to figure out how the world works and how the universe works. The only thing that would be useful in that situation would be to, you know, plug something into this equation, this grand plan or something like that. I'm going to use the bathroom because I got to take a leak. I'll be right back.